not to understand and get your life, your day is going to get better once your perception gets better. So this morning when I had got up, it was like so many emotions that I was feeling. And the first thing that I thought was, I was like, you know what, let me go in a mirror. So if you guys don't know, I remember I started doing this thing, right? And it was really because I had paid for a service with Bob Proctor. And I remember the service basically was me shifting my mindset, right? And Bob Proctor was on The Secret. You know, he talked about law of attraction, manifestation, and everything like that. And a few years ago, well, this was probably like 2020, I had paid to be mentored by Bob Proctor. And it wasn't only me; it was other people as well. And we would meet on this Zoom call in the mornings, and it would mainly be with one of his coaches, and then Bob Proctor added a week. One day added a week, he would get on a Zoom call. We would ask him questions and stuff like that, and he would answer the questions. And I remember Bob Proctor had suggested getting in the mirror and speaking to yourself, right? Telling yourself exactly what it is that you want for yourself. So if you was a person that you felt like you was undeserving, you tell yourself that you worthy. And you keep on telling yourself that because it's basically you are speaking to the subconscious mind, right? And you feel those emotions. And when I first started this program, I didn't feel none of those. Like when I would get in the mirror, the things that I said, I did not believe it was true, right? Me saying that I am worthy, I am good enough, and stuff like that. It was times where as though I would even cry. And I remember Bob Proctor said, like, in the beginning, you may not feel that what you're saying is true, right? The things that you're saying, you may believe that is a lie. So this morning, I found myself in the bathroom going over there. Is same exact thing. Certain things, you know, they work and they work, but sometimes you may drop them because you like, oh, you got so much stuff going on. But I found myself in the bathroom telling myself affirmations, affirming myself. So that was that. And this morning, last night, I had all these thoughts going on in my mind last night. And let me say this to you: whenever God gives you that thing that you desire, and let me be very clear with you with this: God is not giving you things because you are good or because you are bad. I know most of us been conditioned to believe that. And that's why sometimes when you see people, you may say, why is it that the bad people, they have all the good stuff, right? Because subconsciously they believe and they look at themselves as they deserve it. There's so many people that's a part of religion that look at themselves and feel that they have to do this in order for them to have the goodness that they desire, right? In order for God to give them whatever it is that they desire, they have to be a people pleaser. They have to, pretty much go against themselves in order for them to have the things that they desire. They have to help Miss Mary across the street. And I'm not saying those things like helping the elderly across the street and or whatever it is. But what I'm saying is it doesn't matter how much good you do if you don't believe that you deserve goodness. If you believe that you're undeserving, if you believe that you're not worthy, is nothing that you are going to be able to receive from God. Because if God is trying to get through to you and giving you all the things, and first of all, God has given us whatever it is that we have asked for. This morning when I'm in the kitchen, right, it's this thought like, oh my goodness, don't post today, don't make no videos today. And it was a part of me that came, like a voice or so, right? And this voice was the voice that was like, all the things that you ask God for, it is coming into fruition. And for you not to show up, I felt so like, how dare I not show up? How dare I not rock out to my gift? How dare I, say, oh, because I was experiencing a little anxiety, but how dare I not show up, right? And it was almost like this betrayal. It felt sort of like, like I'm betraying God because the things that I asked God for, this stuff is here. I'm seeing it with my own eyes. This month alone, I have earned more on social media than I have ever earned. And I'm like, as I'm in the kitchen, the door came like, oh, how dare you, and for me, where I'm at currently right now, it feels like if I don't do what I asked God that I wanted to do, and God made the way for me, it feels like it's a slap in the face. It feels like I'm going against God. That's how I feel. Okay. And so um after that, after I cried and stuff and did meditation and affirmations, I said I'm gonna listen to Reverend Ike. And you know what? What's so funny? Because when you speak things, whether you believe this or not, your words, they really are spells. So when you constantly telling yourself that you don't deserve it, when you telling yourself that you are unworthy of it, and you need to go back to the first time where as though you felt that the first time you felt that you was undeserving. You may have heard things when you was a child that, you was a reject, you was a good for nothing, you was worthless, you wasn't enough, and it was a part of me that went back through my childhood. And when Reverend Ike was asking the people of the church, asking them like, when did you first get this, like this undeserving, that you're not worthy enough or whatever? And the people was saying, so many people in the church, they was saying like they never heard when they was a kid that they deserved more. And one guy, he said, he thought because he did all the good stuff that he would get more and he would get good things. And he said the good things didn't come. And Reverend Ike is going through it and telling the people like it doesn't matter about the good or bad that you do. That's why you see so many people that you may see and you may be like, oh my goodness, this person is evil. How is it that they have all this stuff, And I'm like, Mrs. Goody Two Shoe, and the things that I'm asking God for, I'm not receiving them. And the main reason why you may not, why is here already. The thing that you desire is there already. But the reason why you may not be receiving it is because you have this subconscious going on in your mind, and the subconscious that you don't deserve it. And God cannot get it to you if you feel that you don't deserve it. If so many people ask God, oh, well, I want higher income. And what I say, money is ideas. The videos that went viral for me, right? They were ideas that I took the idea, right? The download that God gave me, and I implemented it and did it in a video, okay? Showing Dollar Tree items. They were ideas. But imagine if when I got the download and I said, oh, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do that because you know what? I'm just not going to do it. I don't know where that idea came from. No, I acted on the idea. And that's why this month, my income, since I've been doing social media, my income is high. Okay. And it's not going to be the first month. It's going up and up and up and up. But one of the things that I really want you to understand is this. You have to understand and accept that the reason why God is giving you the things that you desire is because you are in God's image. You are a child of God. I really want you to understand that, because if you don't understand it, that's why you're not showing up. If you don't understand it, that's why you're not doing the thing that God called you to do. If you don't understand it, that's why when fear comes in, you escape. You say, oh my goodness, I feel anxiety. I feel some depression. God is telling me to go to this store. And you don't know why God telling you to go to the store, why your intuition is telling you to go to this store. But you just like, because of fear, and there's only two things that you can operate from, and it's either fear or faith. And in the words of my mentor, Bob Proctor, one of the things he said was, in either one of those things, you cannot see. You cannot see fear and you cannot see faith. Okay. And so you choose, which one are you going to operate in? Are you operating in faith, right? Faith means no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on with me, I know God dwells in me. I know God lives within me, right? And so guess what? You're going to show up. You're going to do the thing, even though maybe you're afraid. And what I've come to find out and realize is this. The reason why you may not do the thing that God has called you to do is not so much because you don't have enough information, because you're not qualified. What it is you overly concerned about how people are going to perceive you. You overly concerned that, oh, well, is people going to see that, you experience anxiety? Is people going to see that you don't have all the information? Nobody is concerned about that but you. No one is concerned about that. And so what you do is you still show up. You still show up. Last night I was telling my oldest son, I said, you know what? I'm not doing no videos today. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing no videos. I'm not uploading. And then I said, this morning when I got up, Dina, are you escaping from something? Are you trying to escape from something? Because I told you guys, I'm not the type that be with large crowds. I don't have, have some people, they have like so many friends and stuff like that. Like I'm more so by myself majority of the time, unless I'm with my children, and so me experiencing, and it is so funny because I said this, your words, you be mindful of what you ask for, and you be mindful. And I'm not saying what I asked for, I regret it. I am really extremely grateful for what I've received, what I am continuously receiving from God. I am extremely grateful. But you want to be mindful of the things that you continuously telling yourself. Years ago, back in 2018, I said people would know my name, right? And I just kept saying it. I didn't know exactly, I didn't know how everything was going to unravel. I was just making videos. I didn't know, like, my whole thing was one step at a time. I didn't know how things was going to unravel. I just started making videos, scared, on the floor, okay, in the living room, making videos, nervous as I don't know what, but I felt the need to express the thing that God has put in my heart. And the reason I did it, it was never because any money that was involved. It was because I want people to understand that they do not have to suffer, that they don't have to continuously live in anxiety. They don't continuously have to live with depression. And it felt like I had a gift, right? I have a gift. I want people to understand this. I want people to know this. And fear had no room for that. Fear had no room to stop that. I still was showing up. I still committed myself to show up, no matter how I look, no matter what was going on with me. And that's another thing. When God calls you, you don't get to shake it off and say, oh, well, I'm not going to do this because, I got this going on with me. No, God called you for a reason, to do the thing that you are here for a reason. Don't look at your life and say, well, I'm just here. No, you're here for a reason. There's a reason why you're here. There's not a such thing as you're not good enough. There's not a such thing as you're unworthy. There's not a such thing as you're a reject. There's not a such thing as that in God's eyes. And so the reason why you suffer is because you looking at it based upon what others have told you. And they only gave that to you because that was all that they had at that particular moment to give, that they felt they had to give. I want you to operate more so from faith. And perhaps you may feel like, Dina, I don't even have faith. A few years ago, I had did a water fast, right? And I'm not saying for anyone to do a water fast, but I remember being a part of the different religions. And when I was a part of those religions, right? And I'm grateful for that experience because me being a part of those different religions, it came to a point in my life where as though I felt like, all right, I know the religion is saying this and is saying that, but my life isn't getting any better. And what that caused me was to go on a search to find out why my life wasn't getting better, you know? And me going on this search of trying to find out why my life was continuously, I would have good moments and stuff like that, like everybody, but, and when I say my life wasn't getting better, I mean, my life wasn't like screwed up, but, well, actually it was, because I had this persona of like I was better than anybody. And that was a defense mechanism, a defense mechanism. I didn't want people to get close to me because I felt like if they got close to me, that they would hurt me or they would leave, right? And when I say hurt me, I'm talking about relationships, right? And so I had this persona, like this mean girl persona. And underneath, like it was love, it was, and it would come out, and this persona of deflecting or projecting, my insecurities on others. Mainly I would do it to my children, and I remember going through the things that I went through, right? Experiencing the anxiety, experiencing the depression. And I am so grateful for them things because it really woke me up. It really got me to see that the way I was living, it wasn't what God had in store for me. And so what wound up happening was I went on a search. I always pretty much, and I told you guys this several times, I always pretty much been an information junkie, right? Like always searching for truth. When I was a kid, I would ask questions after questions after questions. And it's so funny because I remember my oldest son, just like that, when he was a kid, and I got upset, like, you asking so many questions. And that's exactly how I was when I was a kid. And so me experiencing, those things and looking at my life, I always felt like there was more to my life. I didn't know. No one ever said to me like, oh, Dina, there's more to life. Like no one ever said that to me. But it was just an innate feeling, like a knowingness. I didn't know exactly where this knowingness came from, but it was just like a God-given, like something that came with me, almost like a toy, batteries not included. I mean, batteries included or whatever. But it felt like I just knew, I came here for more. I didn't know at that time like what that more was. And then the Bible, right? And my grandmother, she was big for this because she would say, and I didn't know that she was even speaking like the laws of the universe at the time. Like she would say things like you reap what you sow. And and I'm so extremely grateful for the family that I was born into. They may not have all gotten it right, but I didn't always get it right. And I remember my grandmother, she would have these like sayings, right? And I remember when I would go in the bathroom, like seek and ye shall find, right? And I remember I would go in the bathroom, and it was like an epiphany, like a full out knowingness. And I would say, God, I didn't even know who I was really speaking to at that time, probably like God in the sky. And I would say, God, I know I did not come here for this. And at that time, that this was working, looking for love, buying material things to escape the feeling that I was feeling, and feeling like I did not come here for that, to work and pay bills. Like it was a knowingness. And no one ever said this. No one ever said to me, "Oh, Dina, well, no one ever said this." And I will always when I would go in the bathroom, it would be dark, and I would just have this saying, I know this is not what I came here for. Where did that come from? I don't know. And this was, some people say, oh, well, if you don't eat meat and all this other stuff, you will still get the downloads, because I was getting the downloads, even though I had this self-image of myself. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't worthy enough. Although I'm buying all these different things, these materialized items, and there's nothing wrong with you buying the stuff. There's nothing wrong with you buying the stuff. The problem becomes when you buy this stuff and you operate in from, oh, I am good or I am worthy because of the things that I have. When you are solely dependent on materialism, when you solely dependent on the things that you have, that's when a problem comes. Because if for any reason you was to lose that job, or if you was to lose that, I think when we go through trials and tribulations, it's almost like God is saying, come back. Like maybe you got off, maybe you got off on the wrong side, or maybe you are so caught up on this material or caught up on a world, right? As opposed of knowing what God said. And so, I'm going in the bathroom telling myself these things. And I remember I just kept on searching for truth. I kept on searching for truth. And I remember I came across the video with rapper B.O.B. And I never forgot it. Like, I never forgot it. And it would be times where as though I would think, oh, well, something was wrong with me, Like, I didn't want people to know that I was experiencing anxiety, because they would think I'm crazy and all this other thing. And I remember I would start challenging myself, and rapper B.O.B., he talked about Kundalini, he talked about energy, manifestation. He talked about so many different things. And I just kept on showing up. And from me showing up for myself, it was almost like a domino effect, so to speak. One thing led to another, It puts me in the mind of the book, The Alchemist by Pablo Coelho. When you follow the heart, the universe will conspire to work in your favor. And it just, I just kept on, I kept getting these downloads. I kept showing up. And then I would look at myself and say, ask these questions. Are you not showing up? Or like whenever fear would present itself, like, do you not want to show up? Do you not want to show up because of fear? Like how you feel right now, what's going on with you, right? And I would ask myself these questions, like, what's going on with me? Why I feel this way? And then I would make the connection, like, oh, because this thing has changed, And then I would still show up, because to me, it's like, if I don't show up, how could that have impacted my life? Or what if I showed up and one person got something from it? And that's what goes on in my mind, that is not about me. It's not about how I look or what's going on, or it's about me receiving these downloads and bringing it to social media and speaking about it and talking about it. And who's ever receptive, they get it. The ones that's not receptive, they don't get it, and that's fine. But you are deserving. And perhaps maybe you heard that, growing up as a kid, that you was a good for nothing. Maybe it was circumstances, different things that occurred in your childhood that made you automatically feel like you was undeserving. When I grew up in foster home and group home, you think that, oh, well, you undeserving. And that's not true. That is not true. You are deserving and you are worthy. And the family that you come from, they did the best that they knew how to do. It's not that they did things that, that they intentionally, oh, let me just mess this kid life up. No one intentionally, and even if they say like I intentionally, no one intentionally look to mess their children's lives up. Is all because of the programming. And most of the time you think you're doing the right thing. Like when I will be with my oldest children, me being strict and stuff, I thought, oh, that was the right thing. And I remember one day I was meditating, and what showed up in my meditation, I asked God, like, why I keep going through this? And what showed up was control. You trying to be in control of someone else's life, you are automatically going to suffer, because that's not your core, and it's not your right. And I'm not saying like if you have children, oh well, just let them loose, well, right? Let them just do whatever it is. I'm not saying it. But children, they learn more so from your actions, more so than your words. And I continuously go through this thing with, though, everything that I tend to go through in my life, like I tell you guys, I get books on it. I go within to see how I could become a better parent, how I could become a better individual, how I could become just overall a better person. It's not about being perfect, right? Because I still may curse you out, okay? And I still have some ways that I like, all right? But it's about you really knowing yourself. That's what it's about. And so I know this video will find the people that needed to hear it. But don't just listen to the video and just say, all right, I heard that and it sounds good. Do something with it. Like, do something with it. Don't like know that the answers are within you. Know that you came here for a purpose. You came here for a cause. You are so phenomenal. You are so great. You are magnificent. You are beautiful. You are loved. You are worthy. You are enough. And things in your life may not be what you want them to be right now. Maybe they not. Maybe your life feels like it's falling apart. And it's falling apart so it could come together. So it can be the way God wanted it to be. So it can be so you can receive what God has for you. Maybe you was operating from a space and a place where as though you think like, well, the world could give me something. The world can't give you anything. How could the world give you anything when God has given you everything? So when you start looking at your life and start understanding that you are worthy and you are deserving, that you are enough, you start showing up differently. It's nothing that you can ever do that is going to disqualify you from receiving God's love. And God don't see you the way you may see yourself. And it may feel like that, right? Like, well, God is this way. Well, let me take that back, because if you see yourself a certain type of way, you're going to receive how you view yourself. Because remember, the way you feel on the outside, it has to reflect on the inside. I mean, the way you feel on the inside, it has to reflect on the outside. That's universal laws. Whatever you feel, right, is going to reflect it. But that doesn't mean God sees you that way. Is you see yourself that way. And the reason you feel the discomfort that you feel, right, telling yourself you're a loser, you're good for nothing, the reason why you feel that discomfort and you get upset and you get angry, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I feel it so deep, okay? Like right now, like somebody's on here that be calling themselves a loser, a reject, or whatever it is, okay? The reason why you feel that discomfort and you get angry and you get upset, the main reason you feel it is because that's not how God sees you. God doesn't see you that way. And you are operating from a false image. You are operating from ego. You are operating from belief systems, what people have told you. And that's why you feel the discomfort, and that's why you feel the suffering. And I say this all the time, pain is inevitable. It rains on the just and also the unjust. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Suffering is you continuously do the same exact thing every single day, because you know why? You say things like, it's my way or the highway. I've been this way. Nothing is going to change me. And that's why you suffer. Because you holding on to this false premise, this conditioning, this belief systems, right? The paradigm, the habits. You holding on because you're afraid. You're afraid to let go of the habits, of the programming, because you don't know what to expect. You've been doing it for so long, you don't know what to expect. And you think, it's supposed, if I let go of the habit, suppose if I give up the way I used to be. This is all survival. Suppose if I give up the way I am, people gonna take advantage of me. I can't have that. And it's not true. It's not true. The reason why you don't want to become the version of yourself that you was created to be is because that's the main thing, ego. Suppose people gonna take advantage of me, and it's like, you can spot it, like you can spot when someone, you have this innate discernment. like you smart, you very smart and intelligent, like you can spot it. And what I come to find out to be true, I told you guys I had this tough girl mentality, this mechanism. I don't want people to get in. They may hurt me, they may abandon me. So you know what? I'm going to push everybody away. Subconsciously, of course. Almost like you afraid of love, afraid of And it's so crazy, you know? It's like you want love, but at the same time, you're afraid of love. And as long as you're afraid of love, you can't even be receptive to receive the love. Why? Because the same exact time that you are trying to keep all these people out, right? The bad people, so to speak of it. And there's no good or bad people, it's just people. But the same time you're trying to keep all these people, the bad people out, let me say that in this emphasis, the same way you're trying to keep them out, you keep the good people out too. You keep everybody out. So then you shut down. You become lonely. Why? Because you have this. They can't get close. They can't get close to me. I remember it was a point, being so tough, right? Operating mainly in my masculine energy. Okay. And we do have two, masculine and feminine, no matter if you boy or girl. Okay. So grow up. All right, grow up. But I remember with my oldest children, I wouldn't give them a hug. I would not give them a hug. I felt like I was too hard for that, to give that a hug and the mushy stuff. And I have this good friend. I haven't seen him in a really long time, but I remember one day he came over to my house and we haven't seen each other in a long time. And he was about to leave. And he said, "Let me get a hug." And I was like, I don't do no hug. And it was almost like he was like confused, like, what? And I was like, And I couldn't make the correlation. I couldn't make the connection. Why? And he was like, and subconsciously, we do. So the person that's out there that's like, well, I don't want people to know, how I am, I don't want people to know how I am. Let me tell you something. People, if they are in tuned, or if they know how they are, if they know themselves, they know exactly why you do the things that you do, because from their experience. Okay. And I was like, I can't show, people this. I am doing phenomenal. I am doing phenomenal. Let me see. Hey, Tracy, peace to you, baby. Peace to you, peace to you. Right? And, oh, hey, N1 mean, peace to you, baby. Peace to you. Tip over, I think. Peace to you. Hey, Oracle, peace to you, baby. Peace to you. If I didn't say your name, honey, hey, did I say Shay? I think I said Shay. Peace to you. But I remember, he came over and he was like, "Let me get a hug." And I was like, I don't do no hugs, And he was like, "You don't do hugs." And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm too tough for a hug. But I didn't know that let me say this. Everything is the opposite. Okay. Everything is the opposite. When you feel like, oh, I'm so tough, it's not that you're so tough. It's that you are a wounded child that's in an adult body in most cases. Okay. It's not that you're so tough. Is that you don't want people to get close to you because you're afraid. All right. And so I remember, I said that to him and he was like, "You don't even give your children hugs?" And I was like, no, and at the time I had two children, my oldest two children. I was like, I don't give nobody a hug. And he was like, when they come from school today, you should get them a hug. I don't think I gave them a hug when they came from school, right? But later on, right, as I started seeing why I do some of the things I do, I started giving hugs. And I made them uncomfortable because remember, we tend to give our children what we have. And so when I wanted to give them a hug, not so much my oldest daughter, I think she was more receptive, but my oldest son, like he was like, and it feels good, you know. And to the ones that's out there, you have children that's different ages. We love our children, but you could never give each child the same exact thing because everything plays a role, right? I mean, you can give all your children love, but you can't give them exactly the same thing because they different, right? They have their own personality traits. Circumstances changes, far as like with my two oldest children, I was in survival mode, like, oh, I gotta do everything because their fathers wasn't around. So I was more so intense. I was more so the underlying was angry, frustrated, me feeling like, oh, everything is on me. And although I picked the guys, although I picked them looking for love and hoping love would come, hoping that they would give me something that I felt that I was missing, that I felt that I didn't have, I picked them, you know. And now with my two youngest children, like my oldest children, they experience me being me. I wouldn't say that I was a good mother. Like I was more so a survival mother, right? More so in my masculine energy with my two oldest children. But with my two youngest children, every things changed. I changed, start doing the work on myself. I started seeing that the way I was living, it was not conducive. It's not something that I wanted to continue to live like, So with my youngest children, they experience more of them making their own choices. And even though sometimes, I'm like, all right, well, he need to do his homework, right? But it's like my youngest son. But it's more so now where it's though like they are capable of making their own choices. And of course I got my children and stuff like that. I don't know why we think like, oh, if your children make their own choices, you're not God in them. I don't when I say make my children make their own choices, this is what I mean. Because I just feel like when my children have homework or something like that of that nature and they know they need to do their homework, right? And I may say to them, all right, do your homework, right? And they may not do the homework. That's their choice. Let them have their choice. Because when they go to school and the teacher be yelling, saying, why didn't you do your homework? You didn't do your homework for a whole week straight. That's their choice, right? I think a lot of times we try to prevent our children from experiencing certain things because we feel like they can't handle it, right? And maybe that's probably perhaps why you maybe experience anxiety too, because you feel like your children can't handle it. And they can handle it. They came here by themselves. Yeah, they came through us, but they came here by themselves. And God is with them. So they could handle it. And I just had this epiphany over the week. Well, we still in the weekend, but with my oldest son, um feeling like, well, I gotta intervene. And then there's a part, no, he got this, he's okay, right? He's perfectly fine, and let them mess up because that's how they learn. That's how you learn. All right, family, so I went off on a whole tantrum. I went off on a whole tantrum. Okay, listen. The way you guys feel, I am not imposing my beliefs on anybody. If you feel that God, man is masculine and woman is feminine only, okay, then that's your belief. And you are more certainly entitled to your belief, okay? Um, but everything in nature is masculine. It has a masculine, is poles of opposites, okay? That's just the way the universe is. You have the yin and the yang, okay? It's poles of opposites. We all have masculine and feminine. You believe what you want to believe. You have to do what works for you. If the beliefs that you have is working for you, you stick to them. Okay. If my beliefs are working for me, I stick to them. But I am always on a constant evolving situation because everything that I may feel that can be true, it can be jealous. It can be a lie, right? And so it's for me to look at that and say, and that's why I say in most of my videos, you have to do what works for you. You have to do what works for you. I have to do what works for me. If I see something in my life is not working, right, then I have to look at that. Why isn't it working? Is it because of a belief system? Is it because of the ego, right? And you do what works for you. You do what works for you, boo. Okay? You do what works for you. So, with that being said, I catch you guys on the next one. Keep rocking out, believing in yourselves. And do know and understand that God loves you no matter what you have done in the past, no matter what you may do in the future. God still loves you, and that does not change it. It will never change. And you are an image of God. God is in you. There's no separation. God is not in the sky somewhere, okay? God lives within you. And when you are operating in faith, when you are doing the thing that God told you to do, those downloads that you receive, open that business, make that video, when you do that, you are allowing God to work through you. You are allowing God to work through you. And if perhaps you're like, well, you know what? I'm not going to do that, right? Then it's almost like you are closing yourself off to the infinite intelligence. And let me tell you something. It doesn't matter what you call it. Allah, Christ. It doesn't matter. You can't get wet from saying water. Okay. Infinite intelligence. I don't care what you call it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's a problem. And it, so many, oh well, but this, it doesn't matter what you call it. Infinite intelligence. I don't give a damn what you call it. All right. But when you operate in love, and when you are allowing God to work through you by showing up, by believing in yourself, by having faith, operating from faith and not from fear. And both of them, you cannot see them. You can't see faith and you can't see fear. But when you know and you take the leap out on faith, you become vulnerable. Your life will change. Your life will, if you're doing something different, your life is going to change. If you're doing something that scares the holy crap out of you, your life is going to change. It's going to change. Why? Because you have made a decision to do something different. And to detach yourself from the belief system. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing, because the way I've felt, and this morning when I got up, I had the choice, not make the video. I was so inspired by Reverend Ike watching his video on YouTube. It was something to me, make the video, make a video. And then voila, I'm here in a flash. Okay, so I catch you guys on the next one. Oh, and let me say this, right? So I shared with you guys I went viral. And I don't say that like, oh, look at me, right? I say that because I really want you to understand this. Two of my videos went viral within 2 weeks. One, I think their video is at 2.7. The other one, I didn't even know I went viral on the second video. I think that one is at 1.9 on Facebook. But me going viral, one of the things that wound up happening was what presented itself. I don't want to be seen, right? I don't want, and I mean, this morning it was like, I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I'm gonna wear shades now, right? Because this is the stuff that the ego, the force version, the monkey mind plays on you, right? Like it has you thinking that everybody in the world knows you. This is the ego, okay? And so I'm thinking of all these different things, and I'm like, it was something that presented itself. Nah, I'm like, don't go to Dollar Tree, right? And I do have backup video. I mean, I have I have so much content in my phone. And I'm gonna upload as soon as I'm done with this video. But this was what came out. This is what came out. And remember I said when I was in the kitchen, I felt like, it's like doing a disservice. Here is, you ask God for this. You ask God for more income, you ask God for all these things. Matter of fact, you thank God for these things. Don't you dare allow fear. Don't you dare allow fear to get in the way of that. When the fear presents itself, you see it presenting itself, right? Like you the onlooker, you the observer, right? You see it and you say, no, I said, no, this is what this is what I wanted, And so sometimes the thing that you want, whatever it is that you want, and whatever it is that you can see yourself as, it will manifest itself. Not sometimes, it will manifest itself. You see yourself as that person now, not when you get there, not when you have a better apartment, not when you have a better car or better, whatever the excuses you use, okay? You do it now. You see yourself as that person now. And it manifests itself. And when it manifests itself, you're going to be faced with doubt. It's just something that comes with it. You're going to be faced with doubt. You're going to be faced with worrying. But when you are faced with doubt, when you see the doubt come, that means that you are there already. That thing that you desired is here already. Is here. And nothing can stop it unless you allow it to be stopped. And how you allow it to be stopped? When you stop showing up. That's how. When you say, oh, well, you know what? It's scary. That's when you stop it. That's when you stop it. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.